Do you love the idea of the BMAD method? The ability to generate a massive specification for an application and just then have a coding agent go ahead and build the whole application in front of your eyes. But when you start looking at some of the videos around it, you feel a little bit overwhelmed by all the different agents, all the different workflows. In this video, we're going to break apart these agents and those workflows using simple infographics. I'm Happy Dave. Let's get into it. So let's have a look and a breakdown of the BMAD agents, and what it is a human/AI collaboration framework. So when you're using BMAD, you're really working within two separate phases. The first one is all the planning and the requirements, and it takes quite a long time to work through this. And a lot of people get frustrated by BMAD because of how long this takes. But to be honest, if you spent most of your time in the phasing plan, your development phase just goes off without a hitch. After that, we start working with the different agents. So we have Mary, she does the project brief, and then John is the product manager, dealing with the product requirements document. We also use the architect, which is Winston. And Winston will help us build the technology stack in the form of documentation. And then after that, we'll use Sarah, the product owner, and we'll do a little bit of sharding and solutioning with her. Then we get into the development phases. And this is when you're going through stories, going through epics. You're working with Bob, who is the Scrum Master. He is in control of the epics, the stories, and he will hand off his work to James, who will do the development. Once James has finished the development, Quinn can kick in to do a bit of testing or QA, and that's generally how the workflow for BMAD works. So as we go deeper into this, we'll also look at a custom agent called Taylor. Now, it's a simple cheat sheet. We can see it here, the planning phase with Mary, John, Winston, and Sarah. If you're using it within something like Claude Code, which I do, you'll have it all listed in commands. And these are the basic outputs that you can do. If we go into the development phase, which is a bit of a loop because we do it for each different story, you'll work with Bob, the Scrum Master, James, the developer, and Quinn, the architect. These are the commands and the different outputs that are available. And I've also got a custom agent that I tend to use called Taylor for story acceptance testing. So you can also see some of the simple commands that are available to you while you're working with each of these agents. So the two main phases of working with BMAD is that we have planning, and in that we know what to build, how to build it, and then we have development. That's the actual building and the validation and testing. Now, all the infographics and workflows agents that we're looking at in this video all came from the main video, which is a full-on tutorial on using the BMAD method. It goes for 2 hours. But in it, you get to use 3 epics, 14 stories to make a really interesting application based on the Claude Agent SDK. So the chapter links for that video are in the YouTube description, but essentially for the first 20 minutes, it's really talking about BMAD, the setup, getting it all ready in Claude Code. Then for about 40 minutes, we'll work in phase 1, which is all the planning, working with the PRD, the project brief, the architecture documents. In the second hour, it's all about the development, which is 3 different epics, 14 different stories. And the final outcome is an application that's built using the Agent SDK. What you can do is just type information into a text box and see data get created, see web pages get created, and the whole thing is a self-editing application purely from a text box. At the end, there's a demonstration of the application we built, but essentially we're using the Agent SDK for the backend. We're using a socket IO for real-time communication between the server and the client, and you learn a whole lot about context engineering, which is what the BMAD method is all about, and we'll introduce the odd custom agent and custom workflow. So that video is actually for anyone that wants to build a serious little application that might last for the next 1 to 2 years. And so the quality of the code and the build is important. It's definitely there for developers, but it can also be there for just business people that want to generate an application and have full control and understanding of how to build an application without actually needing to know how to code. We're about to get back to the phases and looking at the individual agents, but if you're curious how do I come up with infographics like this, which are great documentation tools for any software application, it's because in the next video where we're talking about the prompt orchestration and engineering method, which is built by BMAD, but it's designed to deal with prompt engineering. And it was designed with all the sorts of capabilities of BMAD in that it has a poem core using different agents that you can use in context engineering, but it also has a poem app. And this is where we can use it to automate a lot of the stuff using skills and other pipeline technologies. But the main one being that we can just start visualizing different information from any application that you're trying to build. So let's get back to looking at the agents. And the first one in BMAD is Mary. Mary is optional because you can generate your own requirements documents if you know how to, using a variety of techniques. But I like to use Mary because it feeds in quite naturally to the next agents in the list. Basically, I'm in Claude Code usually, so I'm using /analyst to get her running, and she'll generate a project brief and then hand it off to John, who is the project manager. So if you already have a structured requirements document, you don't need to use Mary. If you're a bit vague on what you want to build and you don't really understand how the things fit together, then Mary will help you solve that problem. She's simply a question and answer bot, asks different questions and lets the conversation guide. But you've got different commands and basically build up a structured document to hand off to John. And if you want a starting prompt, you could use something like this to get started building the project brief. Now let's go and have a look at John, and John is the product manager. So we've got a PRD coming in from Mary, and once he's worked through the product requirements, he'll hand off the information through to Winston, who is the software architect. We use it when we've got a good project brief to work with, but we don't have a product requirements document because that's the final outcome of working with John. I've found from my own experience building out PRDs with John, if I don't take the time to do this properly, this is when it costs me a lot of time in the future when I'm trying to develop the application. So it's really important that you take your time with John and building the product requirement document. There's two main times that I would work with John. Firstly, to build that PRD based off the document that we received from Mary. But later on, once Winston has kicked in and done the architecture, we'll do a realignment approach using solutioning. Now, moving on from John to Winston, we come to the software architect, and this is with the /architect command, outputs a bunch of documents, and they're going to be made available to Sarah later on. The type of documents that Winston will create might be these model interfaces that we're seeing here, or we might have something like the tech stack. So coming back to Winston, what he'll essentially do is architect the document, build the tech stack, work with the data models, the coding standards, and the API specification. From an iceberg analogy, you can basically think of John as on top of the iceberg, all the stuff that the user, the business are trying to produce, what it's meant to do, whereas Winston is working under the waterline where all the technical implementation goes on. Generally kick off John using the architect command and a little prompt that's referencing the project brief and the product requirements documents. Now we're getting to the end of phase one where we've built our PRD, our architecture document. The last bits in the puzzle are to do a bit of solutioning, make sure that there's alignment, and then use Sarah, the product owner, to shard the documents. And sharding is just the idea of breaking up big documents into smaller documents that don't consume all your context. If you're using Cursor or Claude Code or any of these coding agents, they really like it when the documents are small and focused. Shards will be the big PRD document in little documents, usually the epics. The architecture document will come into different requirements documents like the data models or the tech stack. Sarah acts as the final gatekeeper of all the documentation, essentially the bridge before we go into development. If we go back to our phase comparison document, we're now finished the planning. We move on to the development cycle, which is generally a loop that we just do over and over again. So let's move on to Bob, and Bob is the Scrum Master. And at a high level, a Scrum Master is kind of like a project manager for agile software development. Essentially, he will take the documents, the requirements, and break them all up into epics. Epics are major features. The features then need to be broken up into stories. The main roles of Bob is to create stories. And the story is in this format that says, as a particular role that a person might be playing, like the prompt engineer, I need to do an action. And the action might be, I need to create a prompt to create beautiful YouTube titles. And what's the reason? So that I can get more conversions to my video. And that's the way a general story structure would be set up. Then there's a list of acceptance criteria. This story is complete if the criteria are met. What does the basic workflow of the software automation that we're creating meant to do? What Bob will really do for us is just help us create a good user story. Now, this is not something that we have to do on autopilot because we already now have the epics that were created. So it's generally just a case of pointing him to an epic or a story. He'll build out a detailed story so that it can then be handed off to the developer. So when you're using the BMAD method, you find yourself often going to the Scrum Master and running this particular command. It's the draft command, and you give it the story number and he'll write the document. Now, once this document has been signed off, James can get in and start doing development, and he'll use the converse command called develop story. Again, you will add in the story code. In that last example, it would have been 2.3. And the real power of the BMAD method is that the story will have all these square brackets without any values. They're essentially tasks that the developer needs to go through and execute. Once he's completed it, he'll mark them off as being done. And at the end, we'll have a whole lot of code. Hopefully it's working. We've got unit tests to make sure that it is working. We've essentially got the implementation. And what's also brilliant about this is that this could take an hour to run, and it all happens on autopilot. So with development of a story or a feature complete, the next step would be to check the quality of it. Quinn is the QA bot. We can also use it just to check some of the testing guidelines. I often like to break out my own agent for unit testing in particular. I like to separate that idea away from the developer, but that stuff can be validated with either the developer agent or with the QA agent, if you like. Because what the QA agent will also do is just compare things to the architecture documents as well as the PRD. This is also an area where certain risks could be identified. The problem with risks is that they're often quite specific and nasty, and I did like to create my own sub-agents for specific ones, like maybe database injection attacks or performance sort of issues. But in general, you can use the QA bot to do all of that sort of work. And she already has a bunch of commands that you can follow for common use cases. Now for BMAD 4.3, they're the 7 main agents that are in place. We can also look into handoffs, the workflows, and maybe even custom agents. So the way a handoff works is that Mary sends information to John, who does the PRD for us, who sends information to Winston, who does the architecture document for us, who sends information to Sarah, and Sarah will ensure that we've got shards, maybe do a little bit of solutioning, make sure that everything is in alignment before we go into development. So then we get into the development phase, and that's where the fun starts, because this is where we can just knock out an application that would take months with a normal development team, days or weeks with the BMAD method. Bob would do all the user stories for us, James would do all the coding and the tests, and Quinn would do all the feedback on how the code works. There are other agents can get involved. You can create your own to deal with the between the scenes. I like to have testing agents. I like to have security agents. But in the video, I had Taylor, which is the story acceptance test agent. And this was a custom issue that I was trying to deal with in software development. There's a concept called the user acceptance test. A user acceptance test is essentially how the user should work step by step. So a little label like go to the home page, click on this particular menu. That would be a standard user acceptance test. But the problem with stories is that code is changing all the time. And so I needed something very specific to the story we just wrote. So the SAT agent Taylor will kick into place once James has finished off the code and Quinn has reviewed the code. So it's now for me to test it. Or if you're using some sort of browser agent like ChatGPT's Atlas, or the fact that Claude Code itself has just integrated a Google Chrome extension, then the automation could be done by the AI agents as well. But generally I do this myself because I want to check the code is working the way I expect. It covers all these areas like the story reference, testing of different steps, the edge cases. One of the things I also do is I tend to split it up into two paths. One where it can do it on my behalf, usually using API calls. This is the longest task I have in the development system, is just testing the user interface. But with that done, that's considered the end of the pipeline for one story, and then we go back to the beginning. Now, in the main video, when I work through all 14 stories, you see me doing a lot of this manually at the very beginning. So we test each of the agents, we see how they work, we see the sorts of questions and answers they come up with and the issues. And along the way, we were also able to develop some agents and some customized ideas. And one of them is a workflow. So if you want to automate that process once you've done it a few times, then what you can do is use BMAD to develop a workflow. So I did one in the video called the Appy Dave workflow. And what this basically did in Claude Code was set up a list of sequential tasks that had to be operated on. Sometimes there was a little bit of human in the loop, but usually it was just move forward each time. The intake would generally be, what story do you want to work on at the moment? At which point it would switch over to Bob, the Scrum Master. He would start generating a story card for us. At the end of that, we would get a status and a report to go and look at. This then introduced the idea that we can bring Sarah back in from planning, and Sarah can validate the whole document for us. And I found after a while that this was an incredibly important process. It picked up a lot of issues before it got to the development. Then we would have James do all the software development. Initially, I was integrating Taylor directly after the developer, but I found it was smarter to do it after Quinn, the QA, and then I would run Taylor. With all of these agents basically working in a coordinated workflow, it was really simple to build the application with quality and get the sort of outcome that I was looking for. So there's the full overview of how the BMAD agents, workflows, and custom handoffs work. In the next video, I'll be building out the Poem framework, so you can check that out. It'll be a lot more visual, a lot more detail. If you're ever looking for the visuals, they'll be made available at some stage in the Skill community. I've only just started a Skill community. The link is down below. And at the end of this video, you can see a demonstration of the application we built in the 2-hour tutorial. I'm Appy Dave. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. So our Agent SDK application is built, and this is what it can do for us. So we're going into the chatbot where we're going to enter in some products. We should be able to view those products and see that they've been stored in the back end. At any time, we should be able to create a HTML page. Notice that there's a live activity. There's also live pages. If we click on the pages, we should be able to go and see the products listing. At any time, then we should be able to add a new product or update it, and it should come through instantaneously. If we need a home page, we should be able to add a link and create a home page at the same time. When we go to that home page, we should be able to navigate back to the products. And at the end of the video, there's a complex multi-page workflow demonstration.